South Jamaica, baby, they made me to be the greatest. Serving the deed of my creators, fresh off of my high haters. It's the king again, Magdalene, chauffeured, bragging and boasting.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Dollars. It's another day, another dollar video. Welcome to the channel. I'm going to be checking out Tales of Toronto, the crazy story of Sizzlac. I know Child Support did the Joe Easy one before this one, so I'm going to double back and do that one for next week. Yeah, man, I remember I reacted to the Savages from the 6. They had a story on Sizzlac, so I'm interested to see if there's anything new that Child Support is going to have in this video. And yeah, man, Sizzlac was a legendary dude. You know, he was a legend, and I heard he was giving dudes problems back in the day. You know what I'm saying? He was a big op. Let's see what his story's about. And without further ado, let's hop right into this.
They call it Doomstone. This is the place where young men die. They die by gun. This is the place where, as General...
This is the place where young men die. They die by gun. Bro, I mean, obviously. What else are they going to die by? It seemed like he just woke up and they say, yo, come cover the story. He ain't even tied. Look, his shirt not even buttoned up all the way to the top. He just got out of bed type shit, bro. These are the reporters y'all got into Toronto, bro? Holy.
D describes the people never sleep.
Real family do this, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of niggas was acting up while I was in jail. Now I'm on road, I can't see niggas, you know what I'm saying?
At this townhouse complex on Jamestown Crescent.
One person's dead after a shooting at a townhouse complex in the Jamestown area.
Toronto has now seen 5 murders in just over 2 weeks.
5 bodies in 2 weeks is kind of crazy.
This is Mustafa Omar, otherwise known as Sizzlac or LV. He is commonly recognized for his hit record, Realist in the 6. He had aspirations of becoming one of Toronto's
That's a banger
top
too.
MCs, but due to his affiliations with the city's underworld, he wouldn't live long enough to see his rap career flourish. The rumors surrounding Sizzlac's criminal career seems to be endless. From being involved in the highly publicized robbery of Drake back in 2009 to being the triggerman of multiple shootings in the notorious block of Driftwood Court, it's not hard to figure out why people wanted his hit so bad. So, on today's episode of Tales of Toronto, we're taking a closer look at Sizzlac's lengthy criminal history.
But I heard that wasn't even him that had something to do with Drake being robbed in Toronto. And one thing people don't realize, that Drake got robbed twice, bro. It wasn't just in Toronto. He got robbed in America when he was on tour. They ran up in his tour bus. That's the story from, like, I remember that shit back in the days, but people don't probably remember about it and they don't even talk about it. But it was twice the boy got. You know what I'm saying? And it was once on tour. I forgot. He was on tour with Lil Wayne. I remember that. But they ran up in his tour bus and they robbed him. And there was other people in the bus that got robbed too. And this situation where I think he went on a date with a girl and the girl set him up type shit.
And examine what caused his untimely demise. Rexdale,
bro, I'm like a rap historian, bro. I be having archives of info that
some of the most
I just don't be sharing.
The city has ever seen. From rappers to professional athletes to social media influencers, Rexdale has made a name for
that dude is from Toronto?
Toronto's most underrated
Little Duval? I never knew that.
Its rich history, the underfunded
That's not Little Duval, right?
Turmoil when an influx of Somali gangs began taking over the once predominantly Jamaican-ruled bloc. Territorial disputes soon arose over control of drug distribution areas, and before you know it, gun violence skyrocketed at an unprecedented rate. Jamestown Crescent and Mount Olive Drive were the 2 territories within Rexdale that were deeply involved in the violent disputes. Both are just a stone's throw away from each other, 5 minutes apart to be exact, but gang members talk about the 2 areas as though they were at least as distant as New York City and LA, perhaps a measure of the size of the rift. The 2 blocks have been locked in battle since August of 2000, when Lloyd Dean, a member of the Mount Olive Crips, was shot 3 times in the back at the townhouse complex where a prominent Jamestown Crip member lived. Soon after, the Mount Olive Crips embarked upon a bloody course of revenge. The violence got to a point where a lot of the conflict began extending beyond its borders. From the East Mall crew to the Driftwood Crips, a number of trigger-happy gangs around the city would find themselves in the middle of Doomstown's territorial conflicts. In a bid to clean up the troubled West End neighborhood, Toronto police teamed up with the city's Community Housing Committee and enforced a mass eviction of families who live in Jamestown and have links to the Jamestown Crips. But little did Toronto police know, by 2007, a number of subset crews would have formed under the Jamestown Crip umbrella, one of them being IDS. An abbreviation for In the Streets, the gang was headed by none other than Sizzlac. Notable members include OVO affiliate Young Dubs, who is the brother of the currently incarcerated Young Lava, and Clifton Vassell, a trigger-happy chain-snatching gunman who has a lengthy rap sheet ranging from robberies and even murder. IDS became one of the most recognized names within the streets of Toronto rather quickly.
I got a question for you. I know Bastos from over there. Does he fall under the IDS umbrella, or the Basto gang is something different? Like they still Crip, but they're not under IDS. Like they're from the same hood, but that's like the young dudes coming up and they got their own shit. You know, and they still cool with the older. It's like that over here too. You got the older dudes that's been around, and they have their own shit, and then you got the young crew coming up, but they repping something else, but they still from the same hood, and they still got that, you know, respect for each other. But, you know, that's how it is sometimes.
Especially amongst his rivals. From Mount Olive to Driftwood Court, they all seemed to have a clear understanding of who Sizzlac and IDS were.
Got a bitch from OT that do lines. We keep 4 or 5 to change Young Dubs out. Put that fuck boy in the archives. And who's LV? My niggas been cheese. Upside down LV for the other team. Still waving.
Now let's dive into Sizzlac's criminal history and see how he made a name for himself in the streets of Toronto, beginning with his first run-in with the law. On June 9th, 2007, at 2 p.m., presumed East Mall crew affiliates and known drug traffickers, Anthony Grant and Devin Vivian, went to Dr. Flea's flea market in Rexdale to shop. 15 minutes later, Sizzlac and 3 of his friends, Jose...
Just by looking at that security camera, you could tell that mall looks sketchy as hell, bro. Are you bound to run into some ops in that bitch?
Matthew Dale and Frank Aquaboa entered the market together. Devin and Anthony did not know Sizzlac and his associates. Around 3 p.m., Devin was confronted by Jose Saiz. Jose pulled a pendant from Devin's neck and then left the market with Sizzlac. When Anthony and Devin followed them, Sizzlac and Jose each pulled out their own semi-automatic handguns and pointed it at Devin. While holding Devin at gunpoint, Jose utters, "What p***?" causing Anthony and Devin to retreat back into the market. Seconds later, Anthony was attacked and robbed of his $1,500 chain by Sizzlac's other associates, Matthew and Frank. Sizzlac and his 3 friends then left together and went to a nearby Subway sandwich shop, where they were picked up in a Honda by a man by the name of McFerrin Patty. Meanwhile, Anthony and Devin left Dr. Flea's and headed home in Anthony's Mercedes-Benz SUV.
They want to get
Devin
back.
was driving in the center lane of Kipling Avenue going south, a Honda pulled up beside them in the curb lane. It was Sizzlac and his associates. Jose Saiz taunted Anthony and Devin by holding Devin's stolen pendant out the rear driver's
I ain't gonna lie, these kids were ruthless, bro. They was freaking tormenting dudes. I thought the other dudes was gonna get back, like, oh, word, they robbed us, now we gonna drive back to the hood, strap up, go back. The story took a turn for me. I didn't know they was doing all this.
While Sizzlac flashed his handgun. Wanting his pendant back and angered by the taunts, Devin turned right onto John Garland Boulevard and followed the Honda. As soon as Devin pulled up alongside the Honda, Anthony pulled out a handgun from the glove compartment of his car and fired 13 shots at Sizzlac and his associates.
Oh, so he had a gun.
Jose Saiz was hit 6 times and was killed instantly, while Sizzlac, McFerrin Patty, and Matthew Dale were wounded. Miraculously, Frank was left unscathed. Devin and Anthony sped away from the scene and 3 days later fled to Jamaica. Both were eventually arrested and returned to Toronto. They were initially charged with first-degree murder, but after successfully appealing and later testifying, they were found guilty of second-degree murder and 4 counts of attempted murder. Although they
I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of like a W right there. That could have been a lot worse for them. You know, they turned the L into a W in a way. Like, yeah, you robbed me, but then I came and clapped your mans up. You know what I'm saying? And the charge that they wanted to give me, it got lower than what you thought I would be getting.
Received a mandatory life sentence. Anthony is eligible for parole in 2025 and Devin in 2020. Their current incarceration status is unknown. 2 years after this incident, Sizzlac would be back in headlines, but this time, he wasn't the victim. The following incident took place on June 6, 2009, at a historic farmhouse in Brampton, Ontario, locally known as The Ranch. The Ranch was an after-hours club where organizers provided alcohol for sale illegally and a disc jockey to furnish music for dancing. There were an estimated 100 patrons in attendance, including Sizzlac and fellow IDS
That's a
member,
recipe for
Justin
disaster.
Bellinger, street name Fat Kid. A security guard, one Vernal Davidson, was provided, whose task it was to search attenders for weapons before they entered the front door, which was under surveillance by a video camera. At about 5:15 a.m., a dispute is said to have broken out between Sizzlac and a group of individuals in the kitchen. A number of gunshots were fired, causing pandemonium amongst the patrons, most of whom tried to flee simultaneously. When police arrived, they found 40-year-old Terrence Hughes dead on the kitchen floor and 29-year-old Garth Palmer dead on the driveway leading to the front door of the building. Both died from gunshot wounds. 6 other people, including Justin Bellinger, also received gunshot wounds that were not fatal. Bellinger was shot in the chin but fled the scene.
In the
He was
chin?
found 1 kilometer from the ranch by paramedics who were en route to the ranch to attend to injured patrons. He was tended to, then later arrested at the hospital and charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. Sizzlac also fled the scene, but was arrested later that month and hit with the same charges. Shortly after his arrest, Bellinger had a lengthy interview with police and provided an exculpatory statement. And that
Lengthy does not sound good, bro. When you say lengthy interview, that's insinuating that he was talking a lot.
statement, he admitted
I wonder
that he
what
and
he
his
said.
co-accused, Sizzlac, were friends and had arrived together at the ranch. Bellinger then admitted him and Sizzlac were in the kitchen where the shooting occurred. Forensic evidence
No
also
lawyer?
determined
You talking?
Sizzlac's DNA was found on his baseball cap, which was found at the scene. That hat was covered with blood from Garth Palmer. With the evidence collected, Bellinger and Sizzlac were in deep trouble. That is until 2 eyewitnesses testified at court. They were the security guard, Vernal Davidson, who knew the deceased Terrence Hughes, and a man by the name of Fremantle, who was a stranger to all the parties involved. Fremantle arrived at the gathering with a friend by the name of Justin. Soon after their arrival, Fremantle overheard Terrence Hughes tell his friend Justin that he had seen a guy at the party who was wearing a chain that he coveted and he would get it by the end of the day. The guy wearing the chain was none other than Sizzlac. Later that night, Fremantle observed Terrence motion
Try to
to
take my
Sizzlac.
chain,
As
I ain't
Sizzlac
going.
approached, Terrence Hughes grabbed for the necklace. Moments later, he saw Justin Bellinger step out from behind Sizzlac and pull out a Glock, which was later found at the scene. Fremantle said he saw Justin Bellinger point the gun at Mr. Hughes' stomach and fire. With the help of the testimonies, Sizzlac and Bellinger were never convicted of second-degree murder. One of the murder charges was discharged by a judge in September 2010. The other was withdrawn by the Crown in October 2011. However, Bellinger pleaded guilty to manslaughter, while Sizzlac pleaded guilty to aggravated assault in relation to the incident and was sentenced to 2 years in Maplehurst Correctional Center in Milton.
How the hell is he pleading to aggravated assault if he wasn't the one that shot? The guy was trying to take his chain. Like, I don't know. Y'all laws is weird to me, bro. And then, I mean, isn't there like gun laws? Like, dude had an illegal gun and I don't know, bro. That shit is just all messed up.
Incarcerated at Maplehurst, Sizzlac would be involved in another violent altercation. The following incident occurred on December 18, 2010. At Maplehurst, Sizzlac and another inmate by the name of Angus Snow were servers, and their job was to distribute food to the other inmates in the
Imagine
unit. On December
Sizzlac
18th,
serving your child.
2010, one of the inmates served by Sizzlac was Kishon Felix.
You gonna spit in your
Sizzlac
food.
and Felix had an argument during the dinner hour about whether Felix had been delivered his bread. The argument was heated and, as a result, they both agreed to meet later and sort things out. After all cells were opened and the inmates had an opportunity to access the unit, Felix came down from the Tier 2 level and waited in a corner of the unit near the washroom facilities. Sizzlac approached Felix and a fight began. The scuffle made its way behind the toilet facilities out of sight of the surveillance camera. Moments later, 3 other individuals, later identified as Andre Palmer, Damian Richards, and Angus Snow, joined Sizzlac and together, they jumped Felix behind the washroom facilities. Felix was left unconscious with various...
That's kind of weak though. If a dude's in a one-on-one and you gotta jump, like, come on, man. I get it though. In jail, you mostly clicked up in gangs and shit, and Sizzlac was a Crip, so they wasn't gonna let it be a one-on-one, but come on.
contusions, and a head injury. Felix's injuries were so severe he was admitted to the hospital where a CT scan was administered. It revealed swelling in the brain and a left frontal contusion.
Damn.
The neurosurgeon in charge feared there was potential for permanent injury. Fortunately, after spending a month in hospital, his health significantly improved and he was discharged back to Hurst on January 10, 2011. Preliminary inquiry would begin on December 12th and multiple witnesses would take the stand to provide some pretty questionable testimonies. One of them was an inmate named O'Brien. O'Brien was determined to be an unreliable witness after providing various versions of the events, then later admitting he was prepared to lie to the court in order to receive a reduced sentence in his own case. The next witness called by the Crown was a correctional officer at Hurst. Although she didn't see the incident occur in person, she was called by the Crown to identify the 4 inmates who had attacked Felix. She admitted that she was not able to identify them independently and that she had relied on the assistance of another inmate to make an identification. Since she was unable to identify any of the attackers on her own, her testimony was rejected. Kishon Felix refused to testify and had told police that he was—
I ain't gonna hold you. It be dudes that be doing so much shit that be so lucky, bro. Like, they never get arrested. Either they get arrested and they have no witnesses. Like, they always get a lucky breaks. And it seemed like Sizzlac was getting lucky every time he was involved in some shit, bro. He got lucky with the first incident where they robbed dudes and he got clapped at. Then he got lucky with the second, he didn't have to go to jail for too long. Now this situation, bro. But it's only a matter of time before your luck runs out, though.
Was unable to recall the attack. With the lack of evidence and the Crown unable to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the accused were the attackers, the judge found Sizzlac and his 3 co-accused not guilty of the offense of aggravated assault. After serving his time for the Brampton Ranch shooting, Sizzlac was released by January 2012. After being let off the hook in 3 separate cases, you would think Sizzlac would have learned his lesson and remained a bit more low-key, but believe it or not, he was back in front of a judge.
He was just getting
spring.
started.
On April 7th, 2012, Saskatoon's drug unit received information from confidential sources indicating several people were trafficking in a dial-a-dope operation. A dial-a-dope operation is a manner in which drugs are often distributed to their customers. The seller and buyer will contact each other by phone and arrange to make an exchange at a predetermined location. By May 2nd, 2012, Saskatoon police would receive search warrants and proceed to conduct a 10-hour criminal surveillance operation involving 12 police officers. During their surveillance, officers witnessed Sizzlac and 3 other men conducting a full-blown drug trafficking operation at multiple hotels. Confidential informants further revealed a gold Malibu was being used for the drug operation and soon, it became the target vehicle. Officers witnessed Sizzlac in the target vehicle, interacting with multiple men outside of a hotel, one of them carrying a white Foot Locker bag. Some hours later,
that money.
several people began going in and out of one of the units, which officers believed was a sign of drug trafficking activity. With the information provided by the confidential informants along with the evidence collected during their surveillance operations, Saskatoon police believed they had reasonable and probable grounds to take down
Can't let dudes just make money, man. You had to snitch on them.
Sizzlac, Mohammed Aden, Raldo Thompson, and Anthony Durant were jointly charged with possessing for the purpose of trafficking and possession of proceeds exceeding $5,000. At the time of his arrest, Sizzlac was found with a few $100s, key cards to hotels, 2 cell phones, and a pocket knife, while Mohammed, Raldo, and Anthony were found in possession of the white Foot Locker bag. It contained a Pyrex measuring cup, a box of baking soda, and a table knife, which officers indicated were common tools of the trade used by cocaine traffickers. On January 27, 2014,
look at the flick of the
trial would
wrist.
commence. It involved the testimony of an expert witness and 19 police officers. None of the accused, including Sizzlac, testified. By the end of the 8-day-long trial, Sizzlac was acquitted of all charges. The judge's reasons for acquitting Sizzlac are as follows. Upon arrest, no drugs were found on him. There was no evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he at any time trafficked in any drugs on May 2nd. The paraphernalia found in the gold Malibu was left there by the registered owner of the vehicle, a man by the name of Omar Hyred, who was also seen in the vehicle. There is also no evidence suggesting that Sizzlac must have known the paraphernalia was there. From being in the company of his co-accused on May 2nd and having possession of a key to room 230, where the drug trafficking is said to have taken place, Sizzlac has clearly placed himself in a position with—
It's funny because they say 3 strikes you out, and that was like the 4th incident that happened where he got lucky again, bro. Yo, God was giving this guy so many chances, man.
Which gives rise to suspicion. But suspicions or conjecture cannot replace proof in
sometimes dudes just feel like they John Gotti untouchable.
Beyond a reasonable doubt that
they think they're above the law
or control of the drugs in room 230. And so, Sizzlac was—
And it's like, if you beating all this shit, let's say all this shit happens to you, right? You dodge death. You dodge jail like 3 times. Well, you went to jail for one thing, but it could have been worse. So like, you got so many lucky breaks, you're going to feel like you could do anything you want. And there's not going to be no consequences. And if there are consequences, there's going to be some bullshit, something light. You get what I'm saying? So that's just crazy.
Was acquitted of all charges. However, his troubles that year were just beginning.
Hundreds of people ran for cover overnight as gunfire erupted outside a nightclub in Liberty Village. 3 people were shot and another victim was run down by a car fleeing the scene.
Chaos ensued. Everybody was running away from the parking lot. One woman ran right onto the street at Liberty and Fraser Avenue, and she was struck by a car. Now that—
What you know about me? What you know about me?
After being released by February of 2014, Sizzlac went straight to the booth. 2 months later, the music video for his hit single, What You Know About Me, would be released. Shot in the heart of Jamestown, the music video features several notable ideas.
I'm not gonna hold you, he wasn't bad musically too. Like, he had like anthems. He reminded me like of a young Jeezy from Toronto, bro. Like, just the way he sounds and the type of music he makes and everything about him. He gives me like them young Jeezy vibes, and he didn't really have that much music out, but the stuff he put out was fire.
Yes, members, from Clifton Vassell to fellow rapper Pyrex. If the raw visuals didn't grab your attention, surely the lyrics will.
Gucci man caught a body. I beat 2.
After beating 3 cases and 2 murder charges, most would begin to feel as if they were untouchable by the law.
See what I said earlier?
Frontman, that's exactly how he felt.
See what I said earlier, bro?
Sizzlac wouldn't be caught lacking by the law this time. Rather, it would be his East Mall ops once again. August 4th, 2014, at approximately 3:30 a.m., 5 people were injured in a shooting following a Caravana-themed party in Toronto's Liberty Village neighborhood. Police estimate that 10 to 15 bullets were fired in the parking lot behind Lamport Stadium, leaving 3 people wounded, one of them, Sizzlac. It's rumored a man pretending to be a fan walked up to him asking for a pic, but instead of pulling out his phone, the so-called fan pulled out a gun. Moments after gunfire erupted, panic set in for patrons.
Now you see why artists don't want fans approaching them sometimes? Because you never know if it's really a fan or op.
Everyone tried to escape simultaneously. One person was hit by a car and another was injured during a fight. Fortunately, everyone made a full recovery. 2 males were taken into custody and charged with a number of firearms-related offenses in connection to the shooting. Their identities and the outcome of the case were never revealed. Even after being shot, Sizzlac remained keen on elevating his rap career because it only took 2 months for him to recover and drop new music.
Bro, you add being shot on top of everything else he already been through, and that's gonna make him feel like he's 50 Cent now, bro. Again, you're beating all these charges. You're getting... That's crazy. You're getting away with so much shit, and now you got shot and live to tell about it. You know, he's basically building up a reputation that a rapper would love. You know, all the shit that you beat a body, you got shot, like you really, run your hood type shit. Now you making music, like you got all the check marks of what a successful rapper should have to make music, and it's just only gonna inflame that feeling of being untouchable.
October 31st, 2014, Real was released. It featured fellow Rexdale rapper Richie Peso and Chicago drill rappers and Chief Keef affiliates SD and Gino Marley. Throughout the song, he remained raw and unfiltered, with one of his bars hinting at his chain-snatching ordeal back in 2009.
Turned up in the club, I let my chain swag. He tried to stick me up and got his face splashed.
The Chicago and Toronto link-up is a rare occurrence, with only a select few artists being able to bridge the gap, but for Sizzlac, it was no biggie. Now as Sizzlac's rap career was on the rise, so was the tension between IDS and his ops, specifically the Driftwood Crips. Come spring the following year, the rivalry would reach its boiling point as both sides would engage in a violent back and forth, with Toronto's police commissioner going as far as dubbing it gang warfare.
We're following a developing story.
I ain't gonna lie, like the music in the background of this shit is making it feel so cinematic. It's like almost watching a movie, bro. Like this shit is like a movie, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Like they could have actually make a movie about this type of shit.
Chopper 24 was over the scene just after 6 p.m. for reports of a shooting at 404 Driftwood Avenue. The call came in at 5:51 p.m. There are a total of 5 victims. Paramedics say 3 people.
You know what? I just got an idea, right? Because you know, there's so many people. You're always saying that it's hard for Toronto music to get mainstream if you're not Drake or The Weeknd or Nav, like those artists like Tory Lanez. Like, you know, they say it's hard and for the music in Toronto to be popular. I feel like if they was to do like a BMF type of story, but based in Toronto, like if somebody invested in that, maybe 50, or like if they was to do a story, it don't gotta be based on a real story. It could be an original story, but if there was like a story based in Toronto on some music up and coming shit, I feel like that would help make the music more mainstream. Like a popular show based in Toronto, that's some street shit, like the Wire version, but in Toronto, but highlighting the culture, the slang, and the music. I feel like if people got to see that side, you know, that'd be the fastest way to get more people in tune with the music. Because then you have people interested. Like a lot of Americans, they don't know about Toronto. You know what I'm saying? They don't know like it's get real over there. You know, so it's like if they was to see something like that, it'd be interesting. They'd be like, oh shit, so this is how they come up. This is what they doing over there. And it'll make more people interested in the music. I don't know. It's just an idea. You know what I'm saying? What do I know? I'm just saying. You never know.
People have been sent to a trauma center, one with life-threatening injuries. 2 other people have been taken to a local hospital.
April 16th, 2015, shortly before 6 p.m., a number of suspects opened fire on a group of people standing outside of a townhouse complex on 440 Driftwood Avenue. 3 male victims were taken to a trauma center, one with life-threatening injuries. 2 other patients suffered gunshot wounds to the leg, one of them being the father of Was Gang affiliate and rapper Hooligan Wassa. 25 minutes after the shooting unfolded, CCTV captured the moment several unmarked police vehicles located the suspect vehicle on Elmhurst Drive, a residential street 5 minutes from Jamestown Crescent. A dramatic foot pursuit ensued and 4 men were captured and taken into custody. One of them was shot by police in the process, suffering non-life-threatening injuries. Police later announced 25-year-old Akeem Bailey, 29-year-old Clifton Vassell, 21-year-old Maurice Smith, and 20-year-old Daniel Duarte Alvarez were facing a combined 120 charges in connection with the shooting. The
120 charges.
Attempted murder, discharging a firearm with intent to wound and endanger life, and unauthorized possession of a firearm. The mass shooting comes 2 weeks after 46-year-old Donald Beckles was gunned down on his doorstep. The hearing-impaired Jamestown resident had 0 gang ties, and police believe he was targeted simply because he was the first person these killers saw. Toronto police later informed the public the attack was confirmed to be—
That's always like a fear of just, you know, you out in your hood, and you know your hood is active, but you're not involved. But let's say the ops come through and they see you and you're not even fucking involved, but you look like you're a hood dude and they target you. Like, that's so whack to me, bro. Because now you're killing innocent people. And look, I'm going to tell y'all dudes that live like that, bro, y'all are bringing bad karma your way. You know what I'm saying? When you do shit like that, you're going to bring so much bad luck and karma your way. Because just the fact that you're in that lifestyle is already bad enough. And you're going to eventually, it's going to catch up to you. But when you like targeting people that's not involved and you kill them, and it's 10 times worse. That's all I'm saying.
tied to the ongoing feud between gangs from Jamestown and Driftwood Court, and residents from both communities should brace for retaliatory gun violence, which is exactly what happened next. From Driftwood Crip Wasi, who died in a shootout with police outside of a downtown Toronto club, to IDS member Slugga, who was shot and killed a month later at an OVO after party, which also left an innocent woman dead and 3 others injured. The remainder of 2015 seen a number of bodies drop on both sides. As Toronto entered 2016, the war between IDS and Driftwood calmed, and for Sizzlac, it was back to business. On April 20th, he would drop his hit single, Realist in the Six. The lore behind the Murder Beats produced track is rather extensive. The majority of the music video is shot around an infamous Chinese restaurant called New Ho King. Located in Toronto's Chinatown, the restaurant has been the scene of multiple fatal shootings dating back to the early 2010s. These murders have been linked to a downtown gang called Heart of a King, whose criminal activity centered around local adult entertainment establishments and bars. It's widely believed
Never heard of them before.
his Realist in the Six music video at the New Ho King restaurant to diss the gang. In one scene, Sizzlac is even seen lurking in an alleyway behind the restaurant, where it's believed he caught an HOK member lacking. Then there's the lore of Drake's robbery. On May 31st, 2009, Drake was robbed at gunpoint by 2 men in Toronto's Little Italy district, a block away from New Ho King. He was forced to forfeit a chain, an AP watch, and $2,000 in cash. The thieves then hopped into a waiting
It's funny because he was robbed for that, and that shit was like, that's nothing for Drake. You get me? That's like pennies for him.
Getaway car heading south on Beatrice Street. Shortly after, the getaway car was stopped by police for going the wrong way on a one-way street. 3 men dove out to evade arrest. 2 were captured. 1 managed to escape. The driver of the vehicle, Socrates Cotterill, and the gunman, Paul Lelouchu, were initially charged with armed robbery, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, 3 counts of pointing a firearm, and possession of stolen property. But these charges were later dropped. Instead, the men pled guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery and spent 6 months in jail. According to a lawyer involved in the case, the police synopsis lists the unidentified man who evaded arrest as the second gunman. It's not known what happened to him, but those with their ears to the streets of Toronto believe this was Sizzlac, and thus, his Realist in the Six record was actually a shot at Drake. The story of the robbery resurfaced this past weekend after Kendrick Lamar name-dropped New Ho King in one of his many diss tracks aimed at the self-proclaimed Sixth God.
Talk about me and my family, Crody. Someone go bleed in your family, Crody. I be at New Ho King eating fried rice with a dip sauce and a blammy, Crody. Tell me you're cheesing, fam. We could do this right now on the camera, Crody.
Kendrick name-dropping New Ho King was oddly specific, leaving many to believe the lore of Sizzlac robbing Drake for his AP is true. Now, regardless if it is, the repercussions of all those subliminal shots would reach Sizzlac in less than 72 hours.
1 person is dead and 3 others are wounded in an early morning shooting in Mississauga. For more,
April 23, 2016, Peel Region Police were called to a townhouse complex in Mississauga, Ontario for a report of gunshots. Upon arrival, officers located Sizzlac and 3 unidentified victims lying on the ground outside the residence, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Fortunately, the unidentified victims recovered and were released from the hospital the next day. Sizzlac, on the other hand, had succumbed to his injuries mere hours after arriving at the hospital. And just like that, the IDS frontman was gone, but the rumors men in Toronto's Little Italy. Instead, the men
an early morning.
So wait a minute, they ran up in the house, bro? Cause that's determination. Like they were really trying to take him out. If they run up in the crib, there's a difference if they catch you lacking outside the house. But from the reports, it sounded like they ran up in the house. That's wild.
Shooting in Mississauga.
How does that even happen?
April 23rd, 2016, Peel Region Police were called to a townhouse complex in Mississauga, Ontario for a report of gunshots. Upon arrival, officers located Sizzlac and 3 unidentified victims lying on the ground outside the residence, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds.
Outside the residence.
Fortunately, the unidentified victims recovered and were released from the hospital the next day. Sizzlac, on the other hand, had succumbed to his injuries mere hours after arriving at the hospital. And just like that, The IDS frontman was gone, but the rumors surrounding his unsolved murder seems to be endless. On one side, many have speculated Sizzlac was taken out by his own crew, with some even pointing out Fat Kid as the trigger man. The reason for this claim is because months leading up to his murder, Sizzlac had become a bully within his own crew, punking fellow IDS members on the daily, so Fat Kid had taken it upon himself to end the life of the
Wow, backdoor gang. Yeah, once you start doing that, violating your own homies, bro, you can't feel safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to do it to the ops, but when you're treating your boys that are supposed to provide protection like shit, what do you think is going to happen? And isn't Fat Kid the one that actually caught the 2 bodies that Sizzlac was claiming? Like, he beat them when it was really this dude was the one that shot? So again, it's like, bro, what? You trying to treat me like a hoe and I'm the one that saved your ass from getting robbed? And you rapping about my work that I put in? That is wild. But this is all rumors. We don't know if it's true, but I'm just speculating.
The man he once saved. Unfortunately, this theory was never confirmed because Fat Kid would see the same fate as Sizzlac 3 years later when he was found severely injured in a home all the way in Winnipeg. He succumbed to his injuries
in Winnipeg.
His murder is also unsolved. Then there's the theory of Easyano. A rapper and member of Heart of a King, it is rumored Easyano took out Sizzlac himself as getback for dissing his crew in Realist in the 6. This theory would never be confirmed as well, because 2 months after Sizzlac was murdered, Toronto police organized a mass raid targeting Heart of a King. Easyano was knocked in the raid and consequently deported to Grenada. Since his passing, Sizzlac's legacy has lived on, but not in the way you might be thinking. Rivals have relentlessly mocked his name by wearing Louis Vuitton belts upside down and name-dropping him on diss tracks. Some have even called out IDS members for not posting a single tribute for their fallen member on social media.
Look, I got hit up in the party, did a dance. Since like that and they don't post them on the gram. And when I'm in the towns, I'm off that Sizzlac. And I ain't talking about revenge, but this that payback. But I can lack. I'm in the town smoking on a Sizzlac.
Although Sizzlac's rap career was short-lived, for his rivals to mention him continuously 8 years.
Yo, bro, that's how you know you was that dude, though. If they still mentioning you in bangers, and it's not whack track, this is kind of fire. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he'd be like, yeah, man, keep mentioning my name. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know he was putting in pain. I had y'all dudes under pressure. Because y'all got to keep talking about the man, even after his death. You just making his legend even bigger. That's how I look at it. You keep mentioning this one dude in all your tracks. That must mean he was really important to y'all. Get what I'm saying? So, again, it's fucked up, you know, but like, you can't really feel sorry for people that put themselves in these situations. He had so many chances, so many, you know, God gave him so many wake-up calls, and there's only a matter of time before you ain't getting no more wake-up calls.
Years after his passing truly shows the impact he made within the streets of the 6. That impact, however, has clearly proven to be the reason for his demise.
All right, man, that's the reaction right there. This was a great one. It was a good documentary. I enjoyed it. I don't feel like I learned anything new. I feel like this is similar to Savages from the 6. I would have to go back to rewatch that one. But yeah, man, y'all let me know your thoughts about this whole situation. And if there's any other videos you would like to see me react to, just let me know. It's your boy Dollars. I'm off this.
For my time goes by, they gon' raise a nigga jersey in the sky. Treat a nigga right, big dreaming on my life. Shorty wanna get some air, I go and get her when I fly. Taking off when these niggas are retired. The minute I catch fire, I smoked them all before, just revisiting the high.